Today I want to talk about masculine and feminine energies. And I want to talk about men and women. So when I say man, I don't mean masculine energy only. And when I say woman, I don't mean feminine energy only. Like, I think we've sort of been taught to equate the two, men and masculine, women and feminine. And it's not the right approach. Like, we as people, as souls in a human body, we are made complete as we are. So that means that this houses the masculine and feminine energy, just like everybody does. But we haven't been taught to house them very well, I think. Like, I'm not so argumentative these days. And perhaps as a getting older thing, just not really interested in fighting over nothing. But like, I remember back in my younger days, you know, there'd be conversations and arguments with men and women about who's better at this and who's better at that. And it's just like, I look at it now, you know, regretfully, and just think, why couldn't I think bigger? Why couldn't I see bigger? Like, there's 8 billion people on the planet. And we think that like all the men are the same and all the women are the same, and like these billions of people all carry the same traits because of their genitalia. Like, I don't think so. And I was sort of taught more to try to be more feminine. Yeah, it didn't really work, like in terms of wearing like feminine clothes. That wasn't really how I grew up. This wasn't how I expressed myself. And I think back to being younger, and it's like I always go back because what I'm trying to do is understand how I got to be the person I am today. I didn't just like appear out of nowhere here. I got here as a result of all the things that come before. And so I try to identify where all this faulty thinking comes from. So that's why I go back so much, just to make sense of today. So it's masculine and feminine energy. Well, it's identifying with the feminine. Like, I am like considered a woman. I get the definitions of what it means to be a man and a woman these days are changing. I think that's very interesting. But yes, I've had no body dysmorphia, traditional woman, or whatever the right terminology is. I'm not sure, right? But I fall into that category. But like, it's only in recent times that I've actually come to understand, like, I am as much man as I am woman. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Like, these genes that I got from my family, from my lineage, from my ancestors, this doesn't all just come from the women of my family. Like, I get all of my genes from all of the men that come before me and all of the women that come before me. It's not one-sided, it's both. And it's just like, we're taught to identify so strongly with this man or woman and just disregard the other half of us. It's fucking bizarre. And then it's like the competition between the sexes, which thank goodness is changing. Like, it's breaking down, and it has to. Women have been treated so atrociously throughout the ages. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that, are they? Women seen as the property of men. I just can't even fathom living in a world like that. But I do live in a world where I'm aware there's violence perpetrated against women left, right and centre. I think that's remnants of an old world that's refusing to die, yeah? We are moving past the times where men get to treat women as property and get to hurt them when they want. There's a lot of violence still happening on this planet, but we are working through it, and we're going to get to a better place. We have to. We're hurting each other far too much. And I think once we sort out the man, the woman dynamic, the spiritual depletion that's in so many of us, once we sort that out, then we'll recognize, the animals, the poor animals, they don't get to be treated like property either. We don't own them. They're sentient beings, and they need to be loved and cared for and honoured and nurtured as well. Like what we do to the poor animals, oh my gosh. So when we think about masculine and feminine energies, what traits do we think about? I think it's giving and receiving, masculine, feminine. It's the leading and the following, masculine, feminine. And I think also it's the protecting and the vulnerability, masculine and feminine. And so I'm thinking about these, and I've done a lot of thinking about this year, because it's just really been messing with my mind a little bit, what it means to be a man and a woman, and what it means to be masculine and feminine. And I feel like I'm making some headway with my understanding. And so I've been taught, like, to give is masculine and to receive is woman, is feminine. And like the picture that comes to my mind is sex, and it's like the giving of the penis and the receiving of the vagina. But we can look at it the other way too, can't we? Isn't she giving her vagina and he's receiving that? Like, it's all a matter of perspective, isn't it? She's giving as much of her body as he's giving of his body. It's not one giving and one receiving. It's both giving and both receiving at the very same time. And that got me to thinking about leading and following. And the way that I've grown up, it's like it's been so more prized to be, and more respected to be a leader than a follower. You know, you don't want to be a follower, you want to be the leader. And I feel like maybe that's not giving enough kudos to the requirement to follow. How do you get to be a leader? You have to follow first. You don't just magically be born a leader and you've never followed, because show me how that works. It just doesn't work. There's no leading without following. And like, you can look at that process as the learning process. Like, yeah, perhaps you're always following as a means to learn how to lead, but enjoy the journey. There is a beauty in following. I spent my life resisting being a follower, just to be clear. I've thought, I don't want to be a follower, like I want to be the leader. Well, it's not true. I just haven't wanted to play any games. That's more to the point. But I've judged the following archetype, as it were, because, I bought into the conditioning, hook, line and sinker. Following is inferior, leading is superior. It's not the case. You can't lead without following. Like, you're doing both at the exact same time. I look at leading and following, giving and receiving, much the same as I look at left and right. Like, if there's a left, then there must be a right. If there's a right, there must be a left. You can't have one on its own. So that brings me back to the masculine and feminine. At any place that there's masculine energy, there is feminine, and vice versa. It is impossible to have one without the other. So when people say they're looking for their partner in another person, like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with romantic relationships. They're all, good and well. But we can't be looking for someone to complete us. We're complete on our own. And what we need to do is learn how to balance our masculine and feminine energy. For a lot of my life, despite being a woman, was considered a traditional woman. Like I've been more masculine leaning. I've prided myself on my strength and my rational brain instead of my heart. Show me the evidence. I don't want to just feel it, like prove it. And I'm all for the evidence, but I'm all for the heart too now. Like I've allowed that to flourish more, that feminine energy. Like I don't need to have things proven. I can feel them. So it's taken me some work to really open up my inner feminine and let that rise more, let that be honoured more. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on the balance, and in different days I express differently. Some days it's more masculine, some days it's more feminine, but I finally got to the point where I know like it's okay to follow, it's okay to receive, because when I'm following someone, I'm leading someone as well. When I'm receiving something, I'm giving something as well. I am always the feminine and the masculine. I'd encourage you to consider how you are balancing your divine feminine, your divine masculine. Are you honouring them both? Because like in today's world, that's so masculine leaning, that we need to honour the feminine, like, and especially the men. They need to honour it so much more, I think. There's an uprising of the feminine energy, which is wonderful. We need a lot more of it. We need to keep her rising. There's been too much masculine energy on this planet, and this is the time of the rebalance. We've all got to do our part. Have a great day, friends.